hockey fans. I am Jeremy the Impact York, and you are right here on BoardCheck. Appreciate you guys joining us this week. Always tons we're going to talk about. Obviously, we'll get into some Bruins a little later. We'll talk some NHL as well because there are some really fun things going on. But first, since it is the first period, we're going to start off with the Gwinnett Gladiators. I was like, this is an awesome shirt. I love this shirt. Thanks for the people that sent it in. Really appreciate that. Of course, we're going to talk about first the ECHL All-Star game, which was where they took on the Adirondack All-Stars as well. The ECHL All-Stars were able to get the 8-7 win, helped out by our very own Justin Buzzio, who added an assist in the win. Now, of course, last Friday, our Atlanta Gladiators were in Greenville to take on the Swamp Rabbits, where they lost 4-3 in overtime. It seems like every week we are playing the Swamp Rabbits. It is really, really crazy. I don't mind it. Them and the Stingrays, they're close. They're good competition. But it's just really crazy. But in the losing effort, Homan, which I will update in a second, Murovich and my captain, Derek Nesbitt, had a goal. Darth Vladar had 30 saves in the loss. Now, also Saturday they were against the, imagine that, South Carolina Stingrays, where we were able to pick up the victory right here at home, 4-0, where Buzzio, Nesbitt, my captain, Niclario, who has suddenly been on a rampage, and Bontage all had goals in the winning effort, and Matt Ginn had 25 saves. Just think about that tandem. We have Dan Vladar, or however you want to say it. I'm going to call him Dan Vladar unless Dan wants to correct me. Would love to talk to you, Dan. And of course, Matt Ginn. Just imagine those two. That's, how many different organizations would absolutely love to have those two. And we have both. Imagine that. We have both. Now, of course, your upcoming schedule for the Atlanta Gladiators this Thursday, they will be at home against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. They will also be there Friday and play the same Swamp Rabbits. That is a 7:05 on Thursday, 7:35 on Friday start. Sunday, they will be in South Carolina to take on the Stingrays. That is a 3:05 p.m. start. In fact, a good thing to do right before you watch the Pro Bowl. For anybody that's a big Pro Bowl fan out there. Let's see some Atlanta news. Let's start with the smaller and the kind of sad. The Gladiators did trade forward Kason Homan to the Indy Fuel for future considerations. Hopefully he does well with the Fuel. I actually liked Kason Homan. Thought he did pretty well here, but as is the case with especially minor league sports and minor league hockey, sometimes your favorite players get shuffled around. So good luck to you, Kason. Give you the salute there. Hope you do well in Indy, and we'll see you on later down the road. Derek Nesbitt, my captain. And once again, Matt Ginn, were named to the ECHL fantasy team and Golden Goalie program with the ECHL. Congratulations to them on that. And, of course, there is now an online auction that is going on through tomorrow night, I believe. I don't know the exact time, but you can go to atlantagladiators.afrogs.org, AFROGs if you want to come up with it that way, but atlantagladiators.afrogs.org will get you to that. They have got pucks, they have got jerseys, they have got unique opportunities like joining Chris in the color commentary booth. Just a lot of fun things. You definitely look into it. It is an auction, so, bring your checkbooks, and it all goes to a great cause. But definitely go check that out. And, that's going to do it for us for the first period. When we come back for period number 2, we're going to talk some NHL news and really debate on this is an issue I've been talking about, it seems like, almost all year long, and yet it still keeps happening. But you'll have to wait and find out what that is right here on BoardCheck. We'll see you after the break. We are back for period number 2 right here on BoardCheck. Jeremy the Impact York, you guys know that, supporting Gladiators, of course. Now, a couple NHL related things we want to talk about. I'll talk about a pretty cool cause here in a minute where, let's see. Oh, is Shattenkirk the new Trouba? Now, we all know how the whole Trouba thing happened. Trouba goes to Winnipeg and he says, hey, you know what? Trade me. I don't want to play here. So he sat out and sat out and sat out and sat out. All that got him was a little bit better contract situation, and he's back on the ice and still with the Winnipeg Jets. So seems like he was just holding out for a better situation. Shattenkirk is not really doing that, but for months and months and months, and I know we did it on this show too, we updated every week about where Trouba could be going. Trouba's the one being talked about. Nobody else is really talking about anybody else, just Trouba. Trouba, 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 Trouba. Well, now, with the trade deadline coming up and many people needing a lot of help on the back line there in the defense, including the Boston Bruins, Shattenkirk's name seems to be coming up. A lot of people think he's going to be a Ranger, who are currently scoreless after a couple periods with the Flyers. There's a good chance he could be a Ranger, but if he can be a Ranger, why can't he be a Bruin? You know, I'm not sure exactly what you would have to give up to get Shattenkirk. I would imagine it's going to be pretty good. It's not going to be draft picks. You're going to have to give up good player for good player the same way Trouba would have been. But, I mean, at some point, the Bruins have got to make some kind of move. So right now, Shattenkirk is the new Trouba in that every week we're going to be updating where he is, where he's not, where he could be. He could be in Detroit. He could be, I mean, it's like, you know, Carmen Sandiego, except for now it's where in the world is Shattenkirk. So right now he's still with his original team. And as far as I know, he's going to continue to be there through the trade deadline. But if that changes, maybe he can be a Bruin. Just throwing it out there, throwing it out there, Claude. Might help you stay around. More on that a little later. Next thing I really want to talk about is the condition of the ice surfaces in a couple arenas this year. You know, we've talked about Carolina had issues, other places have had issues where the ice isn't freezing. Well, it's kind of hard. A couple games the other night were delayed because of isolated incidents where sometimes there's just holes of slush in the middle of the rink. That's the equivalent of a pothole going down the road. In no way can you safely skate over that. It makes it really hard, makes it really chippy. A lot of goalies have said if you want scoring up, it doesn't have to do with their equipment. It has to do with the fact that if the ice was at a more comparable level, the puck won't bounce as much, and players will be able to show off their skill and beat the goaltenders more. I'm not sure why goalies are telling everybody that, but it seems like just like the conditions of football fields or baseball fields, if it's the ice, it's what you play hockey on. I don't know what you have to do, get better equipment, if there needs to be better regulations, if we need to look at building codes or something like that. But it seems like in order to play hockey, you need just a couple things. If I wanted to go outside and play hockey, a few things I would need. I would need a hockey puck. I would need one of these here. I would need a hockey stick. You know what else I would need? An ice rink. An ice rink, not a slush rink, not a lake, because that's what an unfrozen rink would be, is a lake. I need ice. So maybe the NHL's got to step in here and start making some regulations, because if you don't have ice, you don't have hockey, and that's just a shame. There's too many cities who don't have hockey anymore, including Atlanta. We've never forgotten. But the places that do have it can't play because of bad ice. We got to get our act together. The NHL is a professional hockey league, and yet we can't get professional ice rinks out here. And I know it's only a couple, it's only like 4 or 5, but that's 4 or 5 too many. I could understand if there was an isolated incident like a power surge and the freezer machine didn't freeze properly. Those kinds of things can happen. I totally understand those. But these are just random maintenance that it's just not working. So, guys, we got to get our act together. We got to have frozen water so that we can play on an ice rink. That's how the NHL works. That's how hockey works. And I'm just going to get fired up about it. Do we want me fired up about it? Don't know that my family wants me fired up about it. Probably health reasons, but I'm good. Doctor says I'm fine. Moving on. Last thing I do want to talk about is hashtag Bell Let's Talk. A lot of people are asking, what is this all about? Well, the Bell Let's Talk Day was, I think it's today actually. And what it is an organization that talks about mental health awareness. Now, a couple years ago on season 1 of this show, we kind of got into that a little bit in that we made our own shirts about concussions where it says hashtag get checked. Of course, you can get one of these for $15. Just hit us up at any of the social medias or straight through our YouTube site. We will definitely get in touch with you on that. But back to mental health awareness. It's not just concussion related. It's not just sports related. Sometimes you're born with them. Sometimes you develop them. Sometimes just random life events can set them off. And, if you even possibly suspect that something could be going on, you don't feel right, somebody else is not acting right, get checked. Mental health to me is one of the most important. To me, it's more important than physical health because just like computers, the brain is what runs everything. And if the mental issues are happening, a lot of times that means you're not being able to function the way you want to function. So, hashtag Bell Let's Talk is doing its best to raise awareness for the mental health and getting checked. And I'm not just trying to sell T-shirts. Don't feel like you have to buy them or nothing like that. I just want to bring the awareness just like they are for mental health issues. I've had friends, kids, I've had relatives of my own that have had mental health issues, and it's not easy. It's not easy. Know that you're not alone if you're dealing with this, whether it's you, whether it's a loved one, whether it's just somebody you know. Maybe it's somebody you don't know. You just see them out there and you realize they might be struggling. Try to get them some help. We're all a family here. That's the good thing about hockey is at the end of the day, we may have fought for 3 periods on the ice, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how the overtime rule worked. But at the end of the day, we all get in a line. We all come through. We shake hands and we say, you know, glad to see you, pretty much. Just like church, right? Every week, glad to see you. Glad we could just battle. As far as NHL, not church. Don't be battling church. So make sure to get checked. Hashtag Bell Let's Talk if you want to hear more about it. They're actually on Twitter. I was just looking at some of their stuff earlier. Definitely go check them out as well. But when we come back, period number 3, we're going to talk about the Boston Bruins. We're going to talk about, all kinds of things. They do have a game this Thursday versus Pittsburgh, 7 p.m. That's at home, and then they go to Tampa Bay at 7:30 next Tuesday at the end after the All-Star break, and we'll try to catch you up on some Boston Bruins stuff, maybe the future of the head coach, maybe a little bit on Rask and why he missed some time. But either way, we'll be right back to period number 3 right here on BoardCheck. And we're back for period number 3 right here on BoardCheck. Jeremy the Impact York, thanks for joining us once again. We're going to talk about some Boston Bruins here. Man, I just get fired up on those NHL issues, Just why can't we fix the ice? It's the main part of hockey. Seriously. But let's go on a little bit of brighter notes. I don't know about brighter notes, but we're going to go on and talk about the Bruins anyway, where last Wednesday they played in Detroit. They lost 6-5 in a shootout where Carlo, Bergeron, McQuaid, and Vetrano actually had 2 in the losing effort. Tuukka Rask, 20 saves in the loss. On Friday, they were at home against the Chicago Blackhawks, where the Blackhawks were able to shut them out 1-0. Rask had 21 saves. He's getting 20 saves a game, and yet still losing half the games, especially at home. For some reason, we can't win at home. That's something we've got to fix. That moves to Sunday's game in Pittsburgh, where we lost 5-1. We ran into the buzzsaw, or as I like to call it, a good team. Rask was actually injured. He was able to come back. He actually played this past Tuesday in another game. But Rask had 20 saves and left with an illness. He'll be okay. McIntyre had 11 as he came in, and Krejci was the lone goal scorer in that one for the Bruins. Now on Tuesday, we were able to pick up the victory at home. Imagine that versus Detroit, who we just saw. Maybe we learned something. It was overtime. Took a Rask back in the game. 23 saves for him on that one. Miller, Pasternak, and Marchand adding 2 on that one for the 4-3 victory. Now, a couple of the big things as far as the Bruins. The future of head coach Claude Julian. A lot of people have been calling for his head. A lot of people have been saying it's not his fault. I think you could go either direction on this. But the fact that Claude Julian is still the head coach of this team right now tells me he's probably going to finish out the year unless something just absolutely atrocious happens. And I don't see something like that's going to happen. I think Boston's going to limp into the playoffs. I really hope this doesn't happen, but I think they're going to limp into the playoffs, probably get bounced in the first. We could get really lucky and make it to the second, but if they don't improve this team, then that's exactly what we're looking at as a first or second round, just thrashing. Uh, you know, the risk. I mean, the Rask injury, not really an injury. It was an illness. He wasn't feeling right, so he went ahead and exited the game. He was better. He came back Tuesday, so we got to keep Rask healthy. He's the only goalie winning games, and problem is he's getting overplayed. So these illnesses are going to start catching up. If you're tired and you're fatigued, if you're not sleeping a whole lot, I don't know about his sleep patterns, but this is just people in general. If you're not sleeping a lot, you know what's going to happen? You're more prone to get sicknesses and illnesses. In Rask's case, I think he's a little overworked. He could use a little bit of a break. All-Star break is coming up. It's just this Sunday. It's going to be a busy Sunday here at the Impact Media Studios. We're going to probably have about 4 or 5 TVs going, but definitely going to catch the All-Star game. You guys should catch the All-Star game. Uh, it should be a fun game. They got 3-on-3 competitions. They've got some skills competitions, some other stuff. They always have a lot of fun stuff going on. This one's out in LA. Shout out to our brethren out there in the Los Angeles area. Kings fans, Sharks fans will give you credit too. But the Kings are supposed to host this thing, so it should be fit for a King. We'll see how that works. Congratulations to the Bruins players that are going to the game. Brad Marchand is going to have a hearing with the player safety board for his kind of leg whip, or he come up behind Cronwall for Detroit, and Cronwall was just kind of standing there, and so he took his knee and just kind of took his legs out from under him. Marchand is no stranger to getting suspensions, especially for leg-related leg whips and stuff like that. So, maybe this is an isolated incident with Marchand. He hadn't done anything since 2015, so I'm going to just hang that up to he just got caught up in the moment. But he's supposed to have his player safety hearing here soon, and more than likely he's going to miss a couple games. My guess is between 2 to 3 just because of prior history, but the fact that he really didn't hurt anybody is probably 2 to 3 games. But Marchand, we got to have you. Can't have you doing these kinds of things and missing games. Last thing I want to talk about with the Boston Bruins, should they make a move before the deadline? I think the absolutely outstanding answer is yes. Yes, a million times. We've got to help Carlo. Carlo is our best defenseman. We know that. Shara is hanging on the Charizard. He's doing pretty well, but obviously we know he's on the back end of his career. His best years are behind him, but he's not bad. He's still good. He's just not spectacular like he was. So we got to help Carlo. We got to help him. We got to get some defense in here. Like I said, it's probably going to cost us Spooner. Could cost us Krejci or somebody like that. And we just, we can't have this be like some of the other deals that have just crippled this team. We've got to go get, like I mentioned before, Shattenkirk, who has become the new Trouba. We got to go get somebody. It doesn't have to be a Shattenkirk. It could just be, just a B minus, C plus guy from some other team. They will probably go from a 5 on that team to a 3 on this one. we got to go do something, and we got to get other people scoring goals. That's starting to materialize a little bit. It seems like the same four people are scoring all the time. So Boston fans, we got to get behind this team. We got to really do some good stuff. But that's going to do it for me this week. You guys hear the horn. That means we're out of here for period number 3 and for this week's board check. Thank you guys for joining us. Shout out to all the Atlanta Gladiators and Boston Bruins fans all out there. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Let's dance.